Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now today is a topic which I've been asked several times by gentlemen who watch my channel because they hear me talking about the fact that I'm happily retired. And I guess I must seem rather young to be retired, so people are curious as to my situation. The fact is, due to a number of fortunate circumstances, jobs that I took along the way, which came with a pension program within them, at the age of just over 50 and a half years of age, nearly 51, I was in the very fortunate position that I faced the ability to retire from full-time professional work. And I did. I took my pension at that point, but I felt very uncomfortable about the thought of retiring at around about, shall we say, 51 years of age, as I was-ish. And I wrangled with, what was I going to do? How was I going to look forward to the life ahead if that didn't involve work? Because that's all I'd ever done. Since I was a teenager, I was employed. So I did not know what my future looked like. And I took another job. I took another full-time salaried job, which in hindsight was a mistake. I didn't enjoy it, it didn't suit me, and I wrangled with my thoughts for 2 years in that job, repetitively doing the same thing over and over again, until it was making me feel rather unhappy in my life. So I bit the bullet, I resigned from that job, and I walked away from full-time professional employment at the age of 52. I have never been happier since that point. I can say that now, 2 years down the road, into my, what I would term as semi-retirement, because I employed some processes which actually now make my life now enjoyable, and also looking forward to the future. I can see that the years ahead are going to be even more enjoyable for me because I have employed the tips that I'm about to share with you today. Now, being semi-retired is great, and I know I'm fortunate. I've been in a position where that's been able to happen for me. And if you are curious, all right, how I'm able to enjoy my young retirement and actually be better off financially than I was when I was working in full-time employment, let me know in the comment section below, and maybe I will follow this up with a video explaining how I'm able to achieve financial stability in retirement through following some financial paths. But let me know if you want to see that, and I'll be happy to do that. But it is true to say that my life has never been more fulfilled. I have never felt more replete in the life that I live than I do today. And that's because I have followed these processes that I'm going to share with you right now. So here they come. Now, my first tip for you when it comes to planning for a successful retirement, it is quite simple. It is to think about your purpose in life. Because for decades, all right, for absolutely decades, for most of your life, at the point where you're approaching retirement, your life has been defined by the job that you do. Think about when you meet people for the first time. One of the first questions they will ask you is, what do you do? Or what's your job? And it actually comes to define you. Now, this is more exaggerated if you have a job which has some sort of social status or professional status. If you're a doctor, a dentist, I served in the military, I worked in law enforcement. These become a sort of banner which flies over you. You become defined by your occupation. So that when you leave that job, that all feels like an enormous loss. Because up to that point, your job becomes your purpose in life. After your family, your job is the one thing in life where you will occupy the majority of your time doing something for a purpose. After your sort of social life, it's your job. And when that all ends, you may suddenly look upon the life which unfolds in front of you as something of a barren wasteland, and you start to get anxious and concerned. What am I going to do? How am I going to fill my time? Now, I would suggest to you that as you're approaching retirement, the best point to think about what your future purpose in life is going to be after retirement is actually several years before your retirement actually arrives. You need to start thinking about it way in advance, way before you come anywhere near retirement yourself. And that new purpose in life, which is going to be your focus going forward, it could be any number of things. It could be your health. You might be the sort of person who's had a very intense job, and maybe you've worked unusual shifts, working nights and days, and you think to yourself, do you know what, I'm going to get myself in tip-top condition when I finish my full-time job, I go into retirement, and I'm going to run a marathon. Your health becomes your purpose for your future life. It can be imparting the wisdom that you have accumulated through your professional life. You might choose to, now that the time is right, now that you've stepped away from full-time work, to become a mentor, a trainer, a teacher of the next generations, and share the knowledge that you have accumulated in some way. I do that myself. That's one of the jobs that I do. I'm a trainer, so I train people coming after me. I pass my knowledge and information that I've hard earned to them. Now, your future purpose may be wealth. It might be that, you need to accumulate more money to have that retirement that you've always sought. So your future direction may become investments, a little bit of part-time work, combination of many things. That may be your purpose in life. Or it may be volunteering. You might have put off becoming involved in charities and non-profit organisations to the point that you're waiting to finish full-time work. And you've said to yourself, when I retire, I am going to dedicate a portion or the majority of my later years to helping others who have been less fortunate than I. I've walked down that path as well. It's an incredibly rewarding endeavour, volunteering and helping other people. Now, I know many people, as I've been on my life journey, who are older than me, and they have retired before me. And I have seen them struggle to come to terms with the lack of purpose which has arrived in their life. And in many cases, it can lead to those people unraveling, becoming quite ill. And eventually, they can see no other alternative, and they go back into some form of paid employment, be it full-time, part-time. They just cannot acclimatise to life without the structure of work. I don't want you to be like that. Start thinking about what your retired years are going to look like way before they actually arrive. Now, for me, I started thinking about retirement about 5 years before it happened. I started preparing for the future. I became involved with a number of charities, which I knew my involvement could grow as my available time became increased as I retired. And that's something which, a path I've been on, which has been very enjoyable. I also became a professional trainer. I enrolled in a course and I became an accredited trainer so that I could apply for, contract work, so that I could share the knowledge and the wisdom that I have accumulated with others who are coming after me. So even though I didn't actually think of it in that way at the time, I was subconsciously preparing for the future which was going to arrive after I passed my retirement date. Even if you're 10 years away from your projected retirement, start thinking about it and planning for it right now. Now, my second tip for you in planning for a successful retirement is be ready to maintain a routine after you finish in full-time work. Because I know many people say, when I retire, that's it. I'm not going to do anything. I'm going to lay in bed. I'm going to do all the things that I want, go to the pub in the afternoon. Life is going to be a cavalcade of leisure as I see fit. And I can tell you, it's not going to work, because all of your working life, you have adhered to quite a strict routine. I'm pretty sure you have. I know I did. That probably began when you first started school. You had to get up at a certain time, you had to travel to work, you did your job or you did your education, you came home, you had your meals at set times, you had set things you did at certain times of the day. In other words, you adhered to this very strong routine in life. And there's a good reason for that. Human beings thrive on routine. And we actually perform at our very best when there is routine and orderliness in our lives. You know, you think about athletes who are preparing for an Olympic Games. Every bit of their day is structured with a routine. Eat, train, sleep, and so on. That's how we get to our peak performance. For me, even though I retired 4 years ago, I still rise every morning at 6:15. Even though there's no actual reason for me to do that, I know that's a time of the day that I enjoy getting up. I get up, I start my day with a shave every day. I eat breakfast, often with my wife because she gets up at a similar time to go to work. I give my son a lift to the school bus stop, and my day has a set routine. I come back to home, I work from home. Or I go out and perform one of the jobs I do. It depends. Every day is a little different, which is one of the great varieties of life. Particularly when you retire, you can schedule things to make sure your life is interesting, but within the boundaries of routine. In the afternoons, I like going to the gym when the gym is not very busy. Everybody's at work. So I take advantage of that and I go and take my exercise at a time when I can do it at my leisure. Or if I'm working, you know, I spend that time working on the projects that I'm involved with. My evenings are the same. You know, I enjoy very orderly evenings. It works exceptionally well. And of course, I thrive at my best because there is orderliness and there is routine. So think that this will be part of your life going forward. The routines that you put in place now are likely to be the ones which carry you through even to your retirement. This sitting around the house all day and laying in bed till 10 o'clock, trust me, it's not going to work. It's going to be detrimental for your physical and mental health. So plan for the routine which will take you forward. Now, my next tip for your successful retirement is think ahead and build a diary of activity to make sure your life is full and absolutely as rounded as you can make it. Because let's be honest, we're in the last third of our lives most likely now. You have to make every day count. And planning ahead is very much part of the successful retirement. Now, if you were to look at my diary, which I keep on my desk, you'll be hard pressed to find probably 2 or 3 days in the next 3 months where I haven't got something planned for each and every day. Because I am very conscious, right? I look forward and I build my diary with a view to keeping my life interesting, to keeping my life full and a life that I want to live. Because once you lose that passion to go forward, you know, and invest that precious time in things that you want to do, all of a sudden life loses its richness and its depth, and it can become very shallow, just enjoying each day by day by day. I'm always looking forward. Now, it does take a bit of work. You know, I get my diary out and I scan ahead. I look for things that I know I'll find, you know, interesting. I look at things like theatre shows, cinema showings, meetings, groups, conferences. I often look at the National Exhibition Centre, see what's coming on, so I can plan visits to conferences. I'm always doing this. Only this morning, I was scanning the horizon for activities that I want to get involved with, and I noticed that the Cheltenham Literary Festival was coming up in October, something I've always wanted to do, so I booked it into my diary to make sure I am not going to miss it, and that's another element of the richness of my life which I'm going to enjoy. Now, by doing that, it means I never feel bored, my life never feels empty, it always feels rich and enjoyable, and I'm always moving forward, looking forward to things like travel, going to the theatre with my wife and my family, going to gatherings with other like-minded people, anything like that. Even education, enroll in college courses if there's a gap in your skills and your abilities that you've always wanted to plug. Now is the time. Think ahead, do it. Remember, right, the average lifespan of an adult male in the United Kingdom is 81 years at this moment in time. That means that we have only got 4,200 weeks of lifetime from the beginning. Now, if you're about the 2/3 of the way through point, if you're in your mid-50s like I am, you suddenly start to realize the number of weeks ahead of you are getting smaller and smaller all the time. I want to make sure that each and every one counts. Now, a little tip you can do to get yourself started, and this is something which I set myself a long time ago. Make a promise to yourself that you will do one thing each month that will make you feel a little bit uncomfortable. Go to a meeting, join a book club, go to a gathering of people that you've never been to before. Do something which is outside of your comfort zone, and you will find yourself stretching to encompass those things which you haven't done before. Because thinking ahead and building a diary has made sure that my retirement years are actually shaping up to be the most enjoyable of my entire life. Now, my fourth tip for you is quite a simple one, and it is to build quality connections ready for when you retire. Because there is an old saying, alone we flounder, together we thrive. It's the way human beings work. We are a herd species. We are sociable. We like to be amongst others of our kind. It makes us feel happy. It makes us feel comfortable and loved. We protect each other. We share with each other. In fact, we just are at our happiest as a species when we are in social groups. And in retirement, so all of a sudden, you will discover that no longer are those old connection groups that you used to be a member of around any longer. All right, all of a sudden, you no longer get invited to the drinks after work, or the Christmas party, or when somebody leaves, there's a gathering and a party, a summer barbecue. You might get invited to them for the first year after you retire, and as is rightly so, the connections, the interest will move on to the new people who've come and replaced us. The old dinosaurs can't hold court forever. It's time for us to move on and do other things. And there's nothing wrong with that, because we can start to build new connections and we can replace those old working gatherings with new ones. Now, one of the things I did since I retired, I am an after-dinner speaker. So I speak at groups. I'm also an enrichment lecturer. So I often travel around. I think I've got one coming up this week in the south of England. I go and visit groups and I give them a lecture, a talk. I speak at conferences. I speak at luncheon clubs and things like that. Now, whilst it's enjoyable for me, it's a nice thing I do in my retirement, the thing which I find the most fascination from doing that are the groups that I go and visit. There are literally thousands of groups in communities where like-minded people come together to share time, doing something that they all enjoy. You've all heard of these groups, like the Rotary Club, the Women's Institute, the Probus Clubs, University of the Third Age, local history groups. There are so many things in every little community that brings people from all disparate backgrounds together. Maybe they have a meal, they sit down, they break bread together, they have conversations, they go away on trips to visit places. It has absolutely been an eye-opener for me, because I go and visit these groups to entertain them, to see how strong these vibrant little communities of people in their retirement years are. And of course, it replaces those workplace networks that you probably enjoyed and just assumed you would always be a part of when you were working. Now, sometimes it can be a little disconcerting to start building a social network over again, particularly if in your job you were quite high up, right? You were, quite established or quite senior. You were a bit of a big fish in a small pond. All of a sudden, you're back as a small fish again, building those new connections. But believe me, the rewards will outweigh the efforts. Get out there and start building those connections before you retire. As I say, once you retire, it could be a little too late. Start doing it right now. Building those friendships, thinking about those social groups, getting involved, and when you retire, a whole new world will open up for you. Now, my final tip for you is, remember that retirement should be about you pursuing your passions. Retirement is the time that you get your time back to invest and do the things that you want to do. And when I say the things you want to do, what I'm really meaning is the things that you are passionate about. Whatever those passions happen to be. It could be traveling, it could be gardening, reading, playing golf, volunteering, all of the things that we've already talked about today. These are the passions in your life that now you are released to spend the time that you've always wanted investing in those things. However, like I said earlier, you've got to prepare for that retirement before it happens. You have to have a passion to follow when you retire, when it happens. It's too late after you get there and you find, I don't really have a passion. Now, I often ask people this, what is your passion in life? And it can't be your family or your job, all right? So something else. You will be amazed how many people can't easily answer that question. They don't have a passion. They just get through life doing what they've got to do. Their job, their work, family, all of these other things. They don't have a passion. If you're sitting here watching this, say to yourself, what is my passion in life? And if you cannot easily answer the question, there may be a gap that you need to fill before your retirement arrives. Because you can't spend time doing the things that you're passionate about if you don't have a passion. You need to fill that gap in your life before it arrives. Otherwise, you're going to be left struggling. Now, remember, right, all of the things I've talked about today, these little steps to help you think about a successful retirement, it's going to be the most wondrous time of your life. All right? I can honestly say, as long as you've got your health and financial stability when it comes to retirement, this can be the happiest period of your life. I can vouch for that. I am 54, right? I have been properly retired for 2 years, semi-retired really, because I work a number of small part-time jobs that I'm passionate about, that I enjoy doing, that build my social networks, which are fun, and they just bring me joy. I want you to be in the same position when the time comes for you. And really, the thing you need to take away from this today is the planning begins way before that retirement date arrives. Whether you're retiring at 70 or 50, it doesn't matter. Start planning now. Even if you're 30 and you're watching this, start building those networks in your mind of what's going to happen when the day arrives that work isn't there for you to invest all of your time and all of your mental energy. It's going to happen if we're lucky. I hope you'll be ready and you get the enjoyable retirement just like I've been able to. Now, as I say, if you'd like me to do another video on how I'm able to say that I'm financially better off now than I was when I was actually working, drop me a comment in the comment section and maybe I'll follow this up with a video explaining how that works for me. Give me a thumbs up, support the channel by buying me a coffee. You can even become a patron. I make extra videos for my patrons, and drop me an email. I'd love to hear from you. So until the next time, I'm just going to wander off now and enjoy my passions as my retirement unfolds at my leisurely pace. And I will see you again very soon.